The audiobook industry, as an example, is projected to hit over $30 billion in the next 3 years.
Wow.
Right now it's at about $6 billion. And so it's one of the few markets in media that is growing at a insane Mach speed level.
Moe Rock is the CEO of Los Angeles Tribune. He's also a Grammy-nominated architect of redemption. In a world that loves to cancel and discard, Moe has done the unthinkable. He helped secure a 2026 Grammy nomination.
Fame is a power. Fame is one form of power. And power is something that not everybody has the capacity to exercise in a healthy way. Strive to be able to contribute to world peace.
Conflict happens when communication breaks down. Societies can become peaceful when families are peaceful, and families become peaceful when an individual is peaceful. Mm-hmm. Tell us, why did you do that, and how did you forge this journey? The more you know, the more the unknown grows. I am Jitesh Vaswani, your host, and together, let's take this journey beyond the known. They say history is written by the victors, but today's guest believes that history is actually written by those brave enough to offer a second chance. Moe Rock is the CEO of Los Angeles Tribune, but he's also a Grammy-nominated architect of redemption. In a world that loves to cancel and discard, Moe has done the unthinkable. He helped secure a 2026 Grammy nomination for the remaining member of Milli Vanilli, 36 years after they were forced to give theirs back. It is arguably the greatest comeback story in the history of pop culture. But Moe's vision does not stop at the music charts. From his Pillars of Power film series to the debut of Pratik, the world's first AI-generated pop star dedicated to world peace, he's merging high technology with the highest human aspirations. Most importantly, he's a man who has sat with sages and titans alike to find the common thread that connects us all. I'm Jitesh, and this is Beyond the Known. Today, we explore the frequency of forgiveness and the future of peace with the CEO of Los Angeles Tribune and a good friend of mine, Moe Rock. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, my brother. It's a pleasure and privilege to be here. And what an honor to be on the official Art of Living podcast. As you know, we at the LA Tribune are honored to be a partner of the Art of Living, and to have an opportunity to speak to your wonderful community does my heart glad.
Yeah, no, I think the pleasure is all ours, and I know you're very busy, so thank you for taking out the time to have this conversation with us. Moe, in 2026, when cancel culture is so prevalent, right? You're bringing back an artist, from a group which was canceled years ago, before cancel culture was that prevalent. Mm-hmm. Tell us your journey, your experience of why did you do that, and how did you, forge this journey?
Well, today is February 2nd, 2026. So yesterday we had the Grammys, and I was honored to be able to say I was producer on 2 different projects this year. One was in the best audiobook storytelling narration category. One was in the best spoken word category. And so I want to thank the Recording Academy for recognizing non-musical categories that focus on storytelling, focus on wordcraft, focus on how to penetrate a person's heart, not always with traditional instruments, but instruments of the mind. And so I think it's really important to highlight some of the lesser known categories of the Grammys. The Grammys are not only pop music or best R&B song. These are wonderful things, but there are other categories that are often overlooked. So I want to commend the Recording Academy for allowing those categories to be in existence. This man is making me nervous. He has such an intimidating presence. No, I never get nervous, but you're so strong. You're such a spiritually strong force.
Oh man, I love you.
Okay.
So, we're brothers, so don't
Absolutely.
worry. We're just sitting at home, and
yeah.
So talk to us. You help orchestrate a 2026 Grammy nomination for Milli Vanilli, right? A name that for 30 years, like a lot of people had forgotten about that, right? And they were forced to give their Grammy back. Why did you feel responsible?
Well, there was a situation that I consider to be historical misjustice in the realm of pop culture, pop music. The group Milli Vanilli, many people know the scandal. They were humiliated. They were criticized. They famously gave a Grammy back, and the general public was not very kind to Rob and Fab. In fact, they immediately became a big target on late night TV, sketch comedy. Basically, they went from the biggest pop group in the world to being attacked constantly by the media. And so it was a situation where they were not the only ones that were doing that. And they were also not the orchestrators behind that situation. It was the late producer, Frank Farian, who put the whole thing together, yet nobody would have that level of criticism to Frank. And of course, Rob and Fab were both European. They had European accents. They were a little different at that time in American culture. They were an easy target, easy to make fun of. We're talking 1990. And looking back, what they went through was not fair, nor was it right. And so Fab Morvan, who is a friend of mine and gave the LA Tribune an opportunity for the first time ever to publish the real story of Milli Vanilli, shared the true story of what happened and shared the reality of what happened. And not only that, but it was accompanied by an audio documentary / audiobook that was recorded in his own voice.
Wow.
And that part was the significant part that I believe resonated strongly with the Recording Academy and with musicians and with people all around the world. This project became Grammy-nominated, and if you look at the list of the names that were in consideration, that we were able to beat to get the nomination, you would be floored. We're talking statesmen, we're talking former presidents, we're talking A-list celebrities, actors. And one interesting thing, Jitesh, about that category, best audiobook, storytelling, narration, it's one of the most competitive categories because you're not only going musician versus musician or song versus song, you're going versus actors, actresses, politicians, statesmen. The Dalai Lama, who ended up winning the category this year, was in the conversation from the get-go. So it's one of the most competitive categories. So to be Grammy nominated and have Fab Morvan be the nominee, published by the LA Tribune, and to be able to produce that did my heart glad. But the point is, redemption is possible. And the Los Angeles Tribune publishes stories that uplift, inspire, and redeem. And so to have an opportunity to not only publish the story, but actually have a story on top of the story. Because publishing the story was one layer, but then the real story was what we did once it was published. And let's get the project Grammy nominated. And yesterday we saw Fab from the original group walk the red carpet at the Grammys. We saw him get embraced. We didn't win the trophy, but what did happen was during the ceremony, you could see a picture of both Rob and Fab on the big screen, the cover of the project. Now you have to remember, they were shunned, they were humiliated, they were blackballed, blacklisted, whatever you want to call it. And to have that moment where both of them are on the big screen with members of the Recording Academy clapping, to me, that was our trophy. And so, it was sometimes a win doesn't look like the way you want it to look, but it still can. And so it was a wonderful experience. Now the world knows the truth in terms of what happened with that scandal. And people know how talented Fab is. He can sing. He actually has a wonderful voice. I recommend people go check him out on tour and see for yourself. So we were able to right a historical wrong, and we were able to use our platform to do that. And that's what I like to do with my platform. I want to use my platform for good. That may look like what we just did with the real story of Milli Vanilli. You know it's true. It may look with our film festival, which The Art of Living, by the way, is one of our partners of and supporters of, where we showcased just a few months ago over 30 films from over 30 countries. And all of our films were about uplifting, inspiring, redeeming, ultimately making the world a better place. And so the philosophy of the Los Angeles Tribune is to introduce a new kind of newspaper brand, a new kind of media company that's unconventional and outside of the box. And so for us to play the part of creating the redemption arc of the greatest story of all time in pop music in terms of scandals, that's an example of the things that we do. And you alluded to our films earlier. Our films are in the same category. We have multiple different film projects that are available to the general public, that are in production, pre-production. And we have some of the biggest names in leadership and self-help that are partners of ours in that category. Jack Canfield, co-founder of Chicken Soup for the Soul, is a good friend of mine and one of our partners on the film division. The other co-founder of Chicken Soup for the Soul, Mark Victor Hansen, he actually called me earlier today. I have to call you back, Mark. I was filming when you called me. And so they're both friends of mine. And he's on our advisory board at the LA Tribune. And so watch our movies and feel transformed, feel uplifted, and ultimately be a better person. That's the work that we're all about.
I think it's incredible. And what I love about you, Mo, is like you're putting together two very strong pillars of journalism, which is facts, right? Like, and not chasing just headlines, right? So it's telling the facts, but you're connecting it in a way like to the digital world so that the younger population, the young people can actually start consuming, media in a new way, right? Like you're talking about audiobooks, you're talking about movies, you're talking about things which a traditional newspaper would not generally delve into. Talk about this innovative mindset. Like how did you, come across it? How did you develop this, or like how did you think of these ideas?
Well, as a business owner, it's important to recognize habits and to observe the habits of your constituency. In our case, our constituency is just about everyone. That's the constituency if you're in the news business or media business. And if you examine the habits of people, once upon a time, you would wake up, grab your coffee, put your slippers on, walk in the front yard, grab your paper, come back home, drink your coffee, eat your eggs, and read your newspaper.
Yeah.
Today, people do not do that. It's no longer part of everyday habits. Habits have changed. The audiobook industry, as an example, is projected to hit over $30 billion in the next 3 years.
Wow.
Right now, it's at about $6 billion. And so it's one of the few markets in media that is growing at a insane Mach speed level. And so since we're one of the Grammy-nominated publishing houses in audiobooks and considered one of the leaders in that field, it's an important pillar of what we do. Audio documentaries, audiobooks. We recently actually announced a deal with the iconic group called the All for One. They sang the song I Swear, which actually tied with Elvis Presley for longest song that was #1. And we have an audio documentary coming out soon with them as well, so another pop culture project. And we have a lot of different things in the works in the self-help, personal development arena, nonfiction, leadership principles. And I have a project actually with a former CIA intelligence officer that I'm very excited about in terms of a book that's coming out soon. It'll also be available in audio format. My good friend and colleague, Jeffrey Sano, who's also our special advisor. And so we have a lot of projects in the works, and all of them have one thing in common. They're not only going to help you feel better, but they'll help you be better. And I think that's an important distinction, because a lot of times people just look for feel-good stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm not really interested in just doing feel-good stuff. I'm interested in producing and creating be-good stuff. So in other words, if you watch one of our films, if you read one of our books, if you listen to one of our audio documentaries, you might feel good, but are you going to be a better person?
Right.
Are you going to learn something that you can now take and apply to your day-to-day life? To me, that's the metric of a success in a project. It's not about inspiration, it's about transformation. Did this human being actually have a transformational experience? Sometimes that comes from media, sometimes that comes from conversations. I had a transformational experience when I had a private one-on-one with Gurudev, as an example. I had an opportunity to spend some private time with him one-on-one. It was a powerful thing for me. We've talked about it privately a little bit, but that's what I would call a transformational experience that you can have with another human being. So there's lots of ways to have those experiences, and part of the work that we do is to help people have those experiences for themselves.
Let's talk about two things. I think I'm very interested listening to your one-on-one with Gurudev, and of course we have talked about it privately. But before that, you mentioned something very interesting to me, which I think stands out to me. Like in a world like right now, when I look at the mediascape, right? If you turn on a news channel, I don't know why there are a lot of news outlets which are just highlighting the negatives, right? And this has been going on for years, right? I feel much more grounded and positive when I don't see the news, right? Versus when I see your approach to media, it's slightly different. You are highlighting inspirational stories. You're bringing transformation in your readers, right? Now, how did you was that also part of your thinking when you were working, when you started working with LA Tribune, like, why the positive? Like,
yeah.
And when you started, it was different, right? Like,
yeah. Very simple, because I'm not motivated only by what makes money.
Yeah.
It's very easy to get people in a fight or flight state. Getting individuals in a fight or flight state can be a method to get attention. When people go in a fight or flight state, they pay attention, and oftentimes they pay dollars. I'm not interested in just using universal psychological truths to make money. I want to actually make the world a better place, even if that means it's not the best business decision. There's a lot more people that are interested in doomsday news articles than they are about inspirational projects. That's a fact. If you go examine how many views a project or a video has that has to do with the end of the world, it's a lot higher than a project that has to do with the kinds of conversations that we like to have. But that's where I like to be, because that's my purpose. And it's not about a career, it's about a calling. Anyone can have a career, anyone can have a job, anyone can have work. But I'm not career orientated, I'm calling orientated. And so when you're calling orientated, you have something that money can't buy. That's fulfillment. You might not always be happy because you're human, right? Happiness comes and goes. I don't value the idea of being happy as my number one thing,
right?
Because I know it's a feeling that can come, can go. You could be happy, and then 5 minutes later you get a phone call from someone and you're no longer happy. But if you're fulfilled, the fulfillment always stays, regardless of what you're going through. So that's my philosophy of life. It's how I live. It's how I run my business. It's about calling. It's about fulfillment. It's about purpose. It's not about what can we do to get maximum number of people to click on this link or to watch this video. That's not the motivation. I have a TED Talk that I put out a few years ago, maybe the world's shortest TED Talk. I just went up, said my piece, and got off stage. And I made it clear that the principle behind our company, as well as all of our respective sister companies, is very simple. Does the editorial content empower our audience, or does it disempower our audience? And based on that one principle is how we decide what to publish and produce. And so empowering people is my life's purpose. It's what I'm here to do. And there's many different modes that happens through, but that's what I'm here to do. And I know what I'm here to do. And so regardless of what emotional states I'm in, I'm always fulfilled.
Wow. That's an incredibly powerful, lesson. I feel like everybody who's listening to this right now or watching this right now, they could almost immediately apply this in their lives, right? Fulfillment, the depth of fulfillment versus just chasing fleeting happiness, fleeting moments of happiness, right? Because feelings can come and go, right? Gurudev says this: fools follows feelings. Fools follow feelings, right? But wise ones follow commitments, their own commitments. So it feels like you're aligned towards a higher commitment, right? To do good, to be good. And now in your journey, right, to be doing good and bringing this transformation, has this been easy? Like, has the industry, like the media industry as a whole, like, has this adopted, like, have they been able to adopt your culture, your style of leadership, or how do you think, is the audience responding to this? What's happening?
We have a wonderful community of people that do get it, and then we have a lot of people that don't understand what we're doing. And being detached from the need to be understood is a very important thing that every leader needs to apply in their life. Maslow said that the self-actualized person is the individual that's free from the good opinion of others. In other words, it's easier to be free from the bad opinion of others. We see posts on Instagram and social media saying things like, ignore the haters, right? That's kind of a one level of consciousness. But what's even higher than just ignoring the haters? Ignoring the fans. Ignoring even the good praise that you get. Because if you're addicted to good praise, it's just like being addicted to trying to have an emotional state with the bad praise. It's one and the same. So a true self-actualized person doesn't think about, am I being understood? Am I being loved? Am I being appreciated? Do I get it? Do we all fall into those places? Of course. But when I fall into those places, I have my internal dialogue and I have my conversations with myself that we all do. You know, some people think you're crazy if you talk to yourself, but we all talk to ourselves 24/7. It's called what you got going on upstairs. You're talking to yourself. And so being okay with being misunderstood, is that going to always be smooth sailing in life and in business? No. Some people fear what they don't understand. And that's something that you will deal with if you're a leader that is true to who you are. You might make people fear you. You might make people not be comfortable. You might make people try really hard to put you in a box, put you in a circle, put you in a triangle. And if you don't fit in anything, they just get confused. That happens when you're on your purpose, on your calling. When you allow yourself to live a life of a higher purpose, you're going to have that experience. And then the choice becomes, do I minimize what I'm here to do to make other people feel comfortable or to fit in, or do I double down on who I am? And every leader has that moment, and you got to double down on who you are.
I feel like I'm sitting in a masterclass of leadership from Moe Rock, right? Like, I think already I'm learning so much, right? Like, being detached from the good is as important as being detached from the bad. Second thing you said is chase your purpose rather than chasing just, a few like instant gratification things, right? So when you're aligned with your purpose, then, it doesn't matter the noise doesn't matter whether it's good or whether it's bad, it's all gonna be okay. So this is incredible, Mo. And you talked about how to be a self-actualized leader. And that kind of ties into what you mentioned earlier about your meeting with Gurudev, right? I feel like personally, I'm very lucky that I get to be around him, get to learn from him, and truly see him in action, right? You had like a one-on-one. Not many people get that opportunity. Describe what was in the room, what was happening in the room, what was in your state of mind.
Gurudev is the real deal. Whatever that means to people. What does that mean? But I'll say this. When I was done having my time with him, I told my colleagues shortly thereafter that for me personally, and some people might understand it, might not understand it, for me personally, it felt in some strange way like I was almost talking to myself. It felt like, I think the word I used at that time was, it was like a vortex. It was like I'm speaking to a mirror, a reflection. It was a fascinating experience. That was what I experienced with him personally. Don't ask me to explain it in the court of law or to explain it from a scientific level I cannot do those things. I can only say what my personal experience was and how I interpreted that time. It was fascinating to me. And I'm grateful for Gurudev. I'm grateful that he allowed me to call him a friend. I said, is it okay if I call you a friend? He said, absolutely. So he is a friend of mine. And he gave me a very nice gift, and I'm grateful to him. He's an example of somebody that is also doing the kinds of things that we're talking about doing in terms of what our purpose is. When your purpose is to make the world a better place, it could look very differently. If you put Gurudev here next to me, we don't dress alike, we don't look alike. We have a different style, we have a different approach, we have a completely different way of existing in our avatars. On some levels, in fact, maybe at all levels, we're actively working to do the same kind of thing. In his case, of course, it's at a level that very few people in history can touch, with millions of people, et cetera, et cetera. But the principle of it, the principle of it, and I strive to have that kind of an impact in my life. I strive to be able to contribute to world peace. We're talking about someone that had nations stop fighting each other in war.
Yeah.
And I know people that can't get two of their colleagues to stop fighting with each other in their office. You know what I mean? And so if there's a man that single-handedly can have two nations put down their weapons and embrace each other, what kind of excuse do we have in our lives to not be able to get along with the people that we're working with, or our colleagues, or our family, or our friends? And so applying those same principles that he's taught nations, we could live our lives with. Forgiveness, compassion, empathy. We all get tested. And when you get tested, don't make a decision from ego. And that's something that I've had to learn a lot in business as well. When I do get tested, and yes, I get tested. I get tested every day. Do I make my decision based on ego, or do I make my decision based on something else? Whatever that something else is, the great mystery. And I encourage people to be self-aware enough to see where their choices are coming from.
You talked about ego here just now, and I feel like the media industry and fame kind of go hand in hand, right? Now, whether it's your personal fame or whether it's also people that you talk about or the media industry talks about. Now, fame is deeply tied to ego, right? In your career, right? Like, have you experienced like fame gone wrong? Like, with the person maybe, or somebody taking a wrong decision based on ego. Have you experienced something like that?
Fame is a power. Fame is one form of power. And power is something that not everybody has the capacity to exercise in a healthy way. And so power is something that, whilst many people believe they want it in some capacity, can destroy you if you're not equipped for it.
Yeah.
And so to not have the power use you, but for you to use the power for good, is the key. And so if I have, and I have many celebrity friends, and I see a lot of people that fall into self-indulgence because they now have the power to do so. That seems to be a place that a lot of people commonly slip into. But you do have your outliers that are grounded and don't just slip into self-indulgence. Whatever that looks like for them looks differently to different people. And the ones that are able to sustain long, healthy careers are the ones that are usually the most grounded, whether it's fame or whether it's being a business leader, and there's different clues to that. One clue that I look for is your core group of individuals, whether it's your manager, your agent, in the case of some celebrities, or your business colleagues, if you're in the business level. How long have they been around you? And what's your track record of longevity with people around you? There are some people, every year they change their manager. Every year they change their agent. Every year in the realm of business, they change one of their executives over here, or every year or two, there's a new person. And one thing that they have in common, they're always the victim. They're always the victim, no matter what. I've dealt with this multiple times in multiple different scenarios. It's not one, I'm not talking about one specific thing. And so these are things for entrepreneurs, these are things for leaders, these are things for anyone out there that's active to be cognizant of. When you do a joint venture, when you do a partnership, examine how long have the people been active in this person's life? And can they give 3 references of people that have known them for at least 5 to 10 years that can vouch for them? Very simple things. And almost every single time that I've looked past that and not held myself accountable to do that, almost every single time I ended up regretting working with the person. So it's important to pay attention to clues. Just from a social intelligence standpoint, pay attention to clues. People will show you who they are. They won't tell you. People don't tell you who they are, but they show you who they are.
Yeah, their actions will show you who they are. Hey, a quick pause. If you're listening to this and thinking, I need more peace in my day, more clarity in my mind, then I'll really encourage you to check out The Art of Living. The Art of Living offers a technique called sky breath meditation, used by CEOs, pro athletes, and high performers around the world to recharge their energy, clear that mental fog, and reset the nervous system in minutes. They offer programs both online and in person. It is science-backed and it works. Head to artofliving.org to learn more. You touched upon something very interesting when you say, I definitely agree with you. There are people who will always play the victim card, right? And I feel sometimes they don't own up to their lives, right? They don't take responsibility. It's almost about like a responsibility state of mind versus like a reactive state of mind. If they always feel like the world is after them, instead or the world affects them, instead of that I am also affecting the world, or leading the life from a responsible state of mind or a responsive state of mind. And when you touched upon how, for example, Gurudev was able to, let's say, end conflict between countries, I heard him say this once, is, conflict happens when communication breaks down. It's almost like societies can become peaceful when families are peaceful, and families become peaceful when an individual is peaceful. So it starts at an individual level, right? And it's something similar that you touched upon, that, people who complain a lot, they always feel it's all inside. It's all an inside game, right? How do you inculcate that in your life? And how do you inculcate that in your business, in your team, right? Like your leadership team with the LA Tribune.
I tell everyone that is close in my life at one point or another to go read an essay written by a gentleman named Ralph Waldo Emerson called Self-Reliance. And this is something that anyone that's worked with me, they've probably heard me talk about this essay. And they've heard me talk about Ralph Waldo Emerson. And I encourage people to read that essay and then reread it and then reread it. That essay is actually one of the principles of my life, self-reliance. And people don't really understand what that means, which is that Ralph Waldo Emerson taught it better than anyone in that essay. And so if you live a life fully self-reliant, it's just about impossible for you to fall into victimhood.
Right.
It's just about impossible for you to fall into the black hole of victimhood that you can never pull yourself out of. Because if you fall into the black hole of victimhood, that's the reality you will always live, no matter what the circumstances are. If you are automatically painting a picture that you are the victim, you will find the evidence for it. No matter what the situation is, you'll find the evidence for it. But if you are automatically putting yourself in a state of mind of self-reliance, you will automatically be responsible. You will automatically be empowered. So it's a question of what kind of a mindset you want to live your life with. And so many people fall into victimhood because it's much easier, it's more comfortable. It's easier to say, my life is not my responsibility.
Yeah.
Someone did X to me, someone did Y to me, someone did Z to me. It's not my responsibility. Wow, is that easier? Do you know what's tougher? To say, I think I am going to make these two countries going at war with each other my responsibility.
Yeah.
Wow. That's where the Gurudevs come into life. When someone makes that my responsibility.
Yeah. That's incredible, right? I mean, it's almost, it gives power. I mean, I'm not saying power in the sense of power, but like internal power.
It's true power.
Energy.
It's true power. And that's what my movies are also all about.
Yeah, talk to us about that.
My movie series, Pillars of Power, is defining what true power is. And we're very fortunate. We have an incredible cast in our film series. I mean, truly iconic, legendary people are in my movies. And my co-director, Donna Campbell, and I have put together this series of films that talks about what true power is, whether it's financially, whether it's through mental peace of mind, whether it's through relationships, physical health, spirituality. And all of these things go hand in hand. And to me, a truly powerful person is somebody that's powerful in all 5 of those pillars.
Yeah.
Because if you have a lot of money, but you don't have spirituality, there's something missing in your life.
Right.
If you are obsessed with spirituality, but you don't have physical health, how can you meditate?
Yeah.
Your back is gonna hurt.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, if you sit down to try to sit cross-legged, your knees will start aching and it'll take you out of your meditative state.
Yep.
So all 5 categories are equally important in life. And to me, that's true power. Now, the problem is people obsess over one and they only have 20% of their life taken care of.
Yeah.
I know many people that only care about financial.
Yeah.
24/7. They don't think about relationships. They don't think about their spirituality. They don't think about their physical health. And they don't think about their mental peace of mind. And so they don't have those 4 things in their lives. How can you be a fulfilled and happy person if you don't have healthy relationships, if you don't have healthy spirituality, whatever that looks like for you?
Yeah.
I don't define spirituality as one thing.
Yeah.
I define it as your personal relationship with your creator.
Yeah. I like to call it as your personal relationship with your internal spirit.
Exactly. We're alluding to the same thing.
Yeah, yeah.
The great mystery,
Exactly.
you know, as I like to call it. So that's what my movies are all about. And I'm just excited because I know that this film series is going to hopefully transform lives, not inspire lives. We're just doing the press junket a couple of weeks ago with one of our co-stars, Jack Canfield, of course, who we mentioned earlier. And the journalist asked us, what is the point of this film series? And I said quite simply, it's not to inspire, it's to transform.
Yeah.
And I do believe that a good motion picture can do that.
And another transformational project that you are starting is this AI pop star, right? Pratik. I don't know if it's inspired from Hindi or in Indian language, but just to give context what it meant for me, Pratik in Hindi means a symbol,
Yes.
right? A sign.
Yes.
What was the sign that showed you the way or that pointed that, okay, I need to do this? And then also, what is the sign or symbol that you want people to associate with this project?
So this is a project that I'm doing in collaboration with Henning Morales and Ashkan Tabibnian. Henning is a film director who just directed the world's first full-length AI film that is live action with photorealistic characters. And so he actually he put a cameo in there. I'm apparently in the film as a cameo as well. He hasn't shown me, but I'm going to the movie premiere next week. We'll see what it looks like at Culver City. But next month, we're debuting the first single from our collaborative effort, our AI created artist. And we've decided that if you don't embrace where we're going as a society, you cannot influence where we're going as a society. In other words, if we don't embrace AI, then other people will embrace AI, and then we won't be in the game. And so the purpose of Pratik, and yes, it means symbol, and that was done intentionally. And you'll all hear her music and watch her music video coming out very soon. She's a symbol of hope and transformation. And she sings in every language.
Wow.
She can sing in Hindi, she can sing in English, she can sing in any language in the world. And everything that she focuses on is about making the world a better place through inner peace, through joy, etc. And so we're gonna use AI not to just make a funny cat video, but to actually inspire people and create this symbol of hope and peace. And so we can't talk too much about it because next month we have a big debut, but I'm excited about it. And it's one of the examples of not ignoring how fast the world works. A lot of my friends do not want to touch AI because they believe it compromises their artistic integrity. Well, the reality of it is, as an artist, you can use any kind of tool.
Yeah.
Once upon a time, there was a situation where when films started coming into the general public for the first time ever, people in theater hated it.
Yeah.
Because they said, movie actors are not real actors. We want to preserve our artistic integrity, and we're never going to go in front of a camera. Well, they got left behind. Charlie Chaplin ended up being the biggest voice in Hollywood when so many people that were maybe just as talented decided to stay away from that game. And so you cannot ignore the world that we're living in, nor can you ignore where we're going. And if you look at history, the people, all evil things in life happen because good people stay on the sidelines. And so good people need to embrace AI. They need to embrace what's going on. They need to embrace technology so their voice is heard. And so I'm excited about it. And next month, people will be able to hear a lot more about it.
Wow, that's, I mean, I agree like 100% with what you've just said. You know, like touching upon what we were talking about earlier, like a lot of media, not LA Tribune, like otherwise can be negative, right? But if you notice in the world population, I would say there's probably 1% of the world population which is really bad people, which is doing crimes, doing all of that stuff. But if you see a lot of the negative things that they do, the 1% of the population occupies 99% of the news cycle, right? And if we can flip that, right? 99% of the world population is good, but because they're in apathy and they're in that state of, oh, somebody else will do it or something, you know, they don't take action. Right? They're not making news. They're not doing things which are newsworthy in a way, or they're not making an impact. So what you just said, like, actually deeply resonated with me. Now, Mo, if you were to leave one last message for our audience, right, to inspire them, to kind of follow in the footsteps that, you know, where you are taking Los Angeles Tribune, which is be a force for good and be a force for transformation, what would it be?
Don't give up your power. Recognize how powerful you are and act with the understanding of how powerful you are. If there's anything that we've learned from the Art of Living movement, is the power of one person and what one person can do. And I've alluded to this a few times, but I think it's just important to illustrate. One person can end wars between nations. And so you have the same power as every other human being that's ever existed. Sometimes you just forget who you are. And in closing, I'll say to our audience here, you can follow me on Instagram.
Yes.
My Instagram is Moe Rock Loves You, MOEROCK Loves You. And if you follow me, I'll do my best to follow you back.
And we'll be sure to put the the right links in the descriptions. And we are very happy, Mo, that you took out time to spend with me. And, you know, I treat you like a brother. Like, you know, I look up to you.
God bless you.
And you're an incredible force for good. And the only wish I have is that you continue doing that. May Los Angeles Tribune continue growing, and your presence continues to grow. We will. And I assure you, we'll only focus on good. We won't let you down. Incredible. Thank you, Mo. Thank you, brother. Well, we also have some gifts for you from our sponsors. Oh, wow. Well, this is ghee. Oh, my goodness. Yes. Have you ever cooked in ghee? So this is golden monkey ghee. Oh my gosh, golden monkey ghee. From Shrishi Tattva. Wow, this is incredible. It's a cow ghee, but it's labeled golden monkey. And it's organic, grass-fed. Yes, and you know, it's instead of eating seed oils. Okay. You know, our listeners are all very health conscious folks, and so are our sponsors. I'm excited to try this. This is another fun thing. This is a company called Shankara. Okay. Shankara Naturals. And they make this product called Ghee Sutra. So it's made from ghee. Okay. But what they take is this ghee, and they take it in a copper vessel, and they'll play these, high vibrational chants, so it absorbs it, and then they'll wash it like 10,000 times. It's a comprehensive process. Manual process, 10,000 times with hand in a copper vessel. Okay. And what happens is this turns into this. And this is a practice that's been going on for thousands of years, from what I understand. It's one of those holistic things that has been part of humanity for a long time. Yeah, it's inspired from ancient Ayurveda. It was a health science. So this ghee turns into like a face emulsion. I'm so excited. So try this out. What a surprise. You surprised me with these wonderful gifts. And this is the kumkumadi oil. This is also Ayurveda inspired. Kumkumadi. So kumkuma means saffron. So this is kumkumadi. So saffron with 32 other herbs. It's a face oil. You could use it as a beard oil too. It's very potent. Use a tiny amount that goes a long way.
I love it.
Yeah.
I'm so excited to try all this.
So this
thank
is
you
all
for these
for you.
lovely surprises.
Absolutely. And thank you so much, Mo.
Thank
Take
you,
care.
my brother. God bless.
God bless you too. Hey, a quick pause. I want to share a resource I've personally trusted for years. And when it comes to living well, not just in moments of meditation or reflection, but in everyday life, what we put into our bodies matters deeply. And that is why I love Shri Shri Tattva. It's a brand rooted in authentic Ayurveda, from daily wellness supplements to natural personal care, all crafted with ancient wisdom and modern purity. No shortcuts, no hypes, just products that support real well-being from the inside out. For me, it's all about alignment between what I practice and what I teach and how I live. And Shri Shri Tattva helps me bring some of that care into my daily routine. You can explore their offerings at shrishritattvausa.com. I highly recommend checking them out. The link is also in my description below. I want to share something I've been personally loving. Shankara's Ghee Sutra is one of those rare products where ancient wisdom meets modern skincare. It's crafted from ghee that's churned 10,000 times. Yes, 10,000. Blended with Ayurvedic botanicals like hibiscus, bamboo, and it penetrates deep, up to 7 layers, to nourish, hydrate, and bring your skin back to life. No harsh chemicals, no surface level fixes, just deep, authentic care from the inside out, like everything we talk about on this show. You can check it out at shankara.com, and trust me, your skin will thank you. The link is also in the description below.